listening to Workaholics Anonymous, a weekly discussion of terrible jobs, bad coworkers, awful bosses, and overcoming them for positive outcomes. Now here's your host, Breck Hall.
Thank you for tuning in to the third episode of Workaholics Anonymous. My name is Breck, and on this episode, I got my second guest, Bailey Thurnau, right?
Yes,
Correct?
sir, yeah.
Cool. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? So we met, well, this is the first time meeting.
Mutual friends, yeah.
Mutual friend that got us connected. So I'm pretty excited. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, there's not much to know about me. I'm a goofball. I'm a weirdo. I love really just hanging out with people, helping people do whatever they want to accomplish in their life. So I'm only 23 years young. I've got a lot of life left, I would say. I'm very outgoing is what people have said about me.
Yeah.
So I like to take that into consideration. But I'm a life coach consultant, so I pretty much help people better their lives through talking to them. It's almost like a therapist, but on a much deeper level. There's not much more. I love to snowboard. I love art. I don't go to school.
That's fine.
I don't like school. So, I mean, school is cool, but at the same time, I'm not a believer that you have to have a degree to make money.
I always believe that you just gotta sell yourself. The
Exactly,
degree
dude.
doesn't mean
life
anything.
is sales, and if you don't know how to sell, then get to learn how to sell because you are going to be selling everything in life. So, I just believe. I mean, I heard once that there is more self-made millionaires and billionaires than school has ever developed. So once I heard that, I was like, why would I need to go to school? If I do need to go to school, then it's probably just for a specific thing to get me. It's a stepping stone to get to somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like you don't need a degree, but if you do need a degree in something, obviously go out and get it and then proceed with what you're doing. So
That's awesome. So when I was looking through your social medias and all that stuff, normally this podcast is about bad experiences you had, but you seem like pretty positive. All your posts are, and the videos you post are super motivational and everything like that. Where did you get that from? Did you get it from your job? Or have you always been like that?
No. So it kind of started a couple years ago, 2017. I lost my uncle to suicide. So it kind of altered my life. It took me to rock bottom. I was like, wow, I've been taking life for granted for too long, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I just decided to flip the switch, honestly. And I posted a video on Instagram just telling people to keep their loved ones close. You never know the last time you're going to see someone. Really just reach out. And ever since then, that's how I got the job that I have now. Some kid just reached out to me. I was like, yo, I think this job would be perfect for you. And so I started just really diving in deep into personal development. And ever since then, I've never had such an amazing experience. So I've wanted to share it with everyone I can. My end goal in life is world peace. So it's really cool that I'm able to have a job that promotes that. And I'm able to work on not only myself, but with others. Because I believe success is a team thing, not a solo thing.
Mm-hmm.
So working with people and helping everyone really gain that inner peace so that we can all have outer peace and that world peace.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I really like that. And you said with your job that you help people with success and you talk to people. Do you think that that's positively influenced your life, being around that situation 40 hours a week?
Yeah. I mean, there are days where it's like, wow, I feel like I'm just drowning in personal development. I can't even get away from it because there are some times where you just get very intellectual. So it's hard to stay away from that because you can go down a spiral in personal development. You can just fall back into your old ways if you're not doing the right things. But my work definitely has helped influence it to a more positive mindset, especially just the work environment. Being there, dude, you can walk in and you just feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really cool just being able to feel that experience and feel fulfilled when you're actually able to help someone.
So how do you separate I don't know, different types of motivation, things that actually help people from the cornball stuff,
Define that. What do you mean by that?
I just mean there's a lot of summer sales, different types of you can change your life with money and that's. Do you guys preach more self-development and character skills, or is it well, money, if you get this job, it'll better you this way?
We really work on personal development and how people see the opportunities that they might not be seeing. such as a limiting beliefs that limit you from seeing what you could be seeing, and it's like right there in front of your face. So we help people identify that and really. Man, that's a hard question. That was a good question there, mister. Ask it one more time.
So I was just thinking, like, with the different types of beliefs, because sometimes I've had personal issues with like I just get so driven on work. I'm like, you know what? If I can work from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., I got money.
Money's money,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm successful. Like, what defines success? Like,
I think what defines success is your own perception of success. Yeah, money can define success, but I don't believe money is successful, because as you see all the famous people, a lot of them will commit suicide, dude, because they're not happy, because they might have everything, but they don't have that inner peace. So I believe success is being able to really be okay with who you are, more than okay, be in love with who you are, and being able to spread that with everyone, and then being able to help others become successful. I think that is the definition of success, is helping others become successful.
get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
One thing in one of your videos that I saw the other day was talking about being present in your everyday life. Like, what does that mean to you?
What it means to me, I was actually talking to a buddy last night about this, so that's really cool you brought this up. So we were talking about experiences and how he doesn't even bother to think about where we go after life, whether it's heaven or hell or whatever it may be, because this moment that we have right now is really the only moment we truly ever will have. There's no reason to waste time thinking about where we're going to go, what's going to happen, because it's going to be like amnesia. Have you ever had surgery?
It's been a while.
Okay, well, you wake up and
You just
all of a
don't
sudden
worry.
you're in a cast or something. You're like, where was I? What just happened? That's what I feel like is going to happen after death. So we're going to pretty much forget about everything that we are doing down here. So what's the point of thinking about any of that? And just be focused on the present day. Being present, I heard a quote from Kung Fu Panda, and it says, tomorrow isn't promised. Yesterday is already gone. That's why today is the most important, because it's the present. Something like that. Or it's like if a present is a gift or something like that. So just being in the present moment is really just being in the experience that you're in right now. Like this podcast, this is being present. I'm not thinking about anything else but this podcast. I would say that's what being present is, and just tuning into what's around you in this moment.
I like that. So what type of event? So I guess you were talking about your uncle talk that led you to be was positive.
Yeah.
Were you positive before, or have you just wanted to help other people?
No, I was actually in a victim state mentality. I was like, oh man, the world's after me to really just beat me down. That's what it felt like. It felt like the world was against me. There wasn't anything working with me. And that's, I mean, I was never like this, I would say. People have told me I've made a whole 360-degree change, that they don't even realize who I am because of how much I've changed. I'm just a firm believer that you have to hit rock bottom before you can go where you want to go, because it gets you, like, once you're in that space, you don't ever want to go back.
Yeah.
So you're going to do whatever you can to get out of that space. And what got me out was a book by Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Yeah, dude, that book changed my life. That was the first thing that really got me to go, like, dude, I only have certain F's to give. Why focus on the things that are happening to me when I can have control over everything else? Like, I get to control my life. Why am I letting it control me?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I just started to really dive into my brain, starting to learn how my brain works, neuroscience. I'm pretty into that. So I like just diving deep into that, because I've just never been like that. So it's something new, and I realized that it's crucial to know how your brain works. So
Yeah. So what type of things do you like? What kind of people do you listen to? Are there, like, because I know through our mutual friend, she listens to a lot of Ram Dass and everything. And
Yeah.
I got on that gravy train
Yeah.
after, like, so I had this other job that I used to work 2 jobs at a time, and it was like I thought loved it and everything, but like some stuff happened, and I ended up like losing that job, and I had like a midlife crisis when I left,
Yeah.
because I was like, my only identity at that time was like I'm not the smartest person in the room, I'm not the most high, but like I'm the most, I work all day long.
That's
And
how
so
it
that was
is.
my thing. But then like when I lost it, I had like a full-blown identity
Mhm.
crisis. So what kind of things like people do you and then yeah, like so I found Ram Dasu, the
Mhm.
mutual friend, and I listened to all his stuff and I loved it.
Yeah.
I was super into it. So like what kind of people do you look at?
I look at all sorts of people. I love hearing different perceptions from every individual. One of my biggest persons, am I okay to say names?
Yeah, you're fine.
Tom Bayou, he is the director of Impact Theory, and he really talks about a lot of neuroscience and really just
What's the impact theory?
Impact Theory is his podcast.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he has an awesome podcast that he just talks to every individual of every kind. I mean, you can look at health people, you can look at authors, you can look at scientists, and that's the best part about him is he just has such a wide variety of people that he brings onto his show. I
Yeah.
think, and that's the coolest part. But they're all similar. They all are realizing that personal development, meditation, and all of that is crucial to success.
Mm.
So, and then another person, Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty's, like I said, the modern day monk. He's an awesome guy. If you don't know who he is, definitely look him up.
Gotta look that one up.
Yeah,
for sure.
because he has a podcast called On Purpose, and it's definitely directed towards the same thing, more personal development, helping people realize what's going on if they're not aware of it and stuff like that.
So when you're having your own hard days, is it hard to go to a job that's like that where you're selling positivity and
Dude, yeah, that's the most difficult part about our job is if we have stuff on the outside, if we bring it into work, then it's just
you're
gonna
not going to do anything?
Yeah, it's just gonna be a long, dragging day. No one's gonna answer the phone or something like that. So one of our biggest things is leave it at the door. One thing I like to do is walking in, I'll tap the top of the door, like how athletes walk out.
I've seen a
Yeah.
couple Snapchats.
Yeah, and I'll just tap the door, just leave it at the door because if I bring it into work, then there's no. I mean, that's where becoming present is most crucial. If I'm focusing on things outside of work, how am I supposed to perform in work?
You're
Does
not
that make
even
sense?
you're not even going to be able to. You
I'm not
can't
even-
even fix those
I
things
can't even
while you're
fix
at
those things.
work.
Exactly. So there's no point in thinking about them. So being present is the biggest thing, and really focusing on what the person I'm talking to needs the most, and not really thinking about what I need to do.
So what does it go off of? Does it sometimes it goes like more spiritual with those people or more money driven or like you said, like we all have issues that I don't think we talk
Mhm.
about. And so it's probably you probably get into some cool conversations with people
Yeah.
you'll never meet.
Yeah.
People don't know what you look like. You
Yep.
know what I mean? You're just
Yeah.
a voice on a phone, which is cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, there's such a wide variety of people that I get to talk to. Some people are in a darker space, but then some people are really living life. Like I talked to a multimillionaire, best-selling author yesterday,
Like he's good.
and he's actually really cool. He donates to a charity where if there's like PTSD soldiers, and then there's dogs that are about to get put down, and so they will train the dogs and get them to get better or something like that, and then they'll pair up a dog with one of the PTSD soldiers because I guess the rate of suicide is 1 per hour when it comes to a soldier with PTSD, and so they will pair up a dog to this soldier to help him not commit suicide. And every dog that's donated to this soldier, they don't have to pay for it, but every dog that's donated, not one of them has committed suicide. So it was
That's
really cool
awesome.
to like be able to hear stuff like that. And he just wants to help people like me. So I get to talk to a lot of like-minded people. And I think that's the best part is they're very spiritual. They're very money driven, business driven. They just want to do better and be better.
Do you think all those things are correlated together? Like
Yeah.
money success, like being happy can lead to money, and being like driven in your career can be being positive with your thing. Like,
Mhm.
does that lead you down a financially good road and
Yeah. So I heard a quote once that I live by, and it says, "The more I serve, the more I make. The more I make, the more I serve." So the more I can serve, I know the more I can make, and obviously, the more I can make, the more I can serve. So typically, money doesn't buy us happiness, but it does buy us a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things.
yeah,
So I do believe that you do have to have money to get where you want to go. But if you don't have any money, focus on what you need the most and really develop the person that you want to be, and the money will come. So,
I like that.
yeah.
So what drives you? Like, what gets you up in the morning?
What wakes me up in the morning is the biggest thing is I want to set my parents financially free. I think that is what gets me up out of bed every single morning. They've done a lot for me. Um, they haven't been there for me emotionally, I would say, but that's not their fault. They're doing what they know as parents.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a rule book to parenting. So I think my parents did a really good job, but I want to be able to give back to them. Just like I think every kid's dream is to give back to his parents. But more importantly, I want to give back to the world. So whatever I can do to do that, I mean, that gets me out of bed. I jump out of bed some days and I do this little thing that my coworker said. She says to tap your arms and like just all over your body. And it says, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well, something like that. And it really does get you like going. It gets you happy, bro. And then you can look in the mirror and say, man, I'm going to have a great day today. Like, let's just do whatever we need to do to serve people. And that's what gets me out of bed, honestly.
So, do you have like brothers and sisters that you try to
Yeah,
give this advice to, or that?
I haven't really dove in deep with my siblings because, I mean, with siblings, they don't really take the
They don't
advice.
take it, no.
They won't take it until they see the success that I will be able to create. So I am just trying to focus on me, what I need to do for myself so that eventually they'll see that I'm in a different light and they'll be like, okay, what did you do? And I'll be like, I've been trying to tell you this whole time. Why don't you just listen? So I haven't really talked to my siblings about it. I do have quite a broad family, I would say. I've got, let's see, 3 older step siblings, a younger step sibling, a younger half brother, and an older real brother. So we got quite the mixed family, but we don't really talk that much, I would say.
Yeah.
So we're all just spread out of Utah, but I do want to get it eventually around. My parents are actually starting to come around. It's crazy, dude. So I never thought, my parents used to be very pessimistic. And ever since I started doing my videos, working where I'm working, they started to post more positive stuff. And they would talk more positive and less negative around me. And I was like, wow, like,
I've always thought that it it snowballs with things. Like the people that are always talking negative are always the ones that like the car breaks down and then everything, it just steamrolls.
Yeah.
And then the people who are always like, they work hard, they do this after school, they go to the gym, they do positive things. I feel like that snowballs for them as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is like, there's bad stuff that happens to people that are doing good too. They learn to deal with it differently than the people that just let it affect them. They don't let it
roll off you.
Yeah, you got to let it roll off you because you have no control over what happens to you. You only have control over how you react. So if you're reacting in a negative way, then obviously more negative is going to come back. But if you can see the positive in any negative, just like I did with my uncle's death, I saw it as a time for me to really become who I need to become, and it's not my time to leave. And so I really started focusing on what I needed to do. So
what kind of things outside of like, cause your job, you focus a lot on being positive and doing stuff. What stuff outside of work have you been doing to build yourself like emotionally?
Well, with my job, if you don't do the work on the outside, you won't perform how you should on the inside at work. So there's a lot of meditation outside of work. There's a lot of clearing, which is, how do I say this? It's like there's a lot of gunk that we have in us. And if we don't ever express it or get it out in some way, it'll affect us. And so we have to do a lot of that work, a lot of internal work, I would say, outside of work. And the best thing that I do for that is I'll get outdoors. I'll go snowboarding. I'll go on hikes. I'll do a little meditation in the woods, really being present with myself, just the stillness within me, like being able to sit with my demons really is what it is. Like the things that do affect me on the inside, I have to face them because if I don't face them, then they're just going to keep coming up. So there's a lot of meditation outside of work. There's a lot of learning. I'm learning every day, reading something that I love to do. So
what kind of reading books? Is it all types? Do you read
all
motivational?
Types. Yeah,
or
I mean,
fiction?
I'll read a lot of different things. So a lot of more personal development, obviously, but more business oriented too, just kind of helping you develop the business person that you want to become, but it does take a mindset. So really been just focusing on my mindset, books around mindset. Like I said, the Mark Manson book changed my life, and that was the main one. I'm reading a book now. It's the Secrets of Success. It's got like 3 different books. It's all tied into one.
Okay.
But that just talks about really like your thoughts creating your reality and all of that. So they're all in the same category, I would say. I wouldn't ever say I go off is it fiction?
Fiction, nonfiction, all those other types.
Yeah. So I used to read like Greek mythology like in middle school and stuff, but that's when I was forced to read. Now I choose to read, so I choose a lot of more personal development books, I would say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, self-help books.
So with your job, you also do a lot of modeling and stuff like that. And we were talking about that before it started. You want to tell us a little bit about how that got started?
Yeah, so just like any 18-year-old has 2 jobs, 3 jobs. I was working 3 jobs at the time, but I was at my second job, Cup Bop. I was just wiping tables, and this lady was in there with her newborn baby, and I was just like, "Hi, like, how's everything going?" She's like, "Oh, it's great." I'm like, "Do you need anything?" She's like, "Yeah, I need your name." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, who are you?" And she's like, "I run a modeling agency, and I really want you to model for me. Have you ever considered that?" And I'm like, my mom wanted me to when I was younger. I had braces for the longest time. I had braces for 5 years. So I just said, I'm not modeling until I get those off. And eventually this lady she just asked me to model for her. And she's like, look up my Instagram, like take a look at it. I'm like, I follow you on Instagram. I know exactly who you are. Like, this is weird. And she's like, yeah, I'd love to have you be a model. So I technically got scouted is what they call that in the modeling industry, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's been fun. Like, I usually just do it for the experience. I get to meet a lot of cool people.
Go to cool events and stuff.
Yeah. People have I would say a nasty outlook on models. They say that they're like kind of stuck up or they're this or that, but it's actually the exact opposite.
Really?
All the models are very in tune with themselves and they're very loving. Like, I've never met a model that's just like rude.
Well, I want to know how many people get scouted just like that. There are people that have worked it, like just working coffee shops and working stuff like that.
You'd be surprised.
Right?
Yeah. There's actually quite a few people that I know also that got scouted as well. But there are a lot of people that want to model. And so they'll go to auditions and they'll do all of that stuff. So I would say there's not as many scouted people that there are that people that want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what type of events have you done? Like, what fashion shows?
I've done a lot. The most recent one was a Park City Fashion Week. It was the first ever Park City Fashion Week. So I actually made history, which was really cool. First person to walk in Park City Fashion Week. So that was one of the most cool ones. I did another one. I've been in a couple movies, just like a side gig, just on the side. But I think one of my most favorite ones was downtown for a really expensive jewelry store.
Okay.
Before I had long hair, they gave me extensions and they wanted us to be French doormen, just greeting people on the way in to these. And they were such rich people. It was just a cool experience to be around that because I'm like, I'm going to be around this kind of thing.
I'm going to be this.
Yeah,
this is going to be me.
Yeah, this is going to be me. So I just kind of picture myself. And then, like I said, it's all for the experience. That's the best part about modeling is you get to experience so many different cultures and people and different things. So I like just being exposed to all of that.
Do you travel a lot for it?
Yeah, I haven't gone out of state for it, but I've gone to like the Salt Flats for some things. I've gone to other places. So it definitely just depends. I try to keep it more local just because it is a side gig. I don't want to take time off of my normal job because I love it so much. So
if that ever came up, if you ever became international model, which you probably could.
Yeah.
Which I know you could. Yeah. With how you positive and everything. Yeah. Like would you?
Yeah,
take that avenue?
I think so. I mean, I actually talked about it last year. This guy talked to me about potentially going international and being an international model. At first, it kind of scared me. I had the fear of failure for sure, like everyone does. But I think I would definitely want to be able to do that. My first goal with modeling was to actually go out to California, become an actor and a model. I even told everyone, I was like, I'm leaving, I'm going to Cali, and things changed. But I think I'm supposed to be directed more towards high-end fashion. So I'm thinking New York is something where I'm going to start my international. And then from there, like, I know a lady that lives in Dubai now that models. So if that could be me, I'd totally be down for that. I'm open to it for sure.
Willing to move. Do you think the events that happened in your life when you were 17 and stuff, do you think you'd be modeling and doing all these positive things if that hadn't occurred?
No. I think I would still be in a victim state mentality, thinking and
Can you
asking,
define the victim state a little more?
Victim state mentality is when something happens to you, you're asking, why is this happening? when odds are you know exactly why. It's because of your past decisions and your past beliefs. But you're not really aware of it because of you're in that storm. So it's when you're in that storm, it's hard to see outside of the storm. I would just say that, yeah. Oh, ask that one more time.
Well, like, how would you define the victim mentality?
Yeah, victim state mentality is just thinking that everything's happening to you, thinking that life is just throwing these curveballs at you and you're swinging and missing every single time, and it's just you can never catch a break. You think you're unlucky, and it's just really a negative mindset, I would say. Does that make sense? Kind of like a pity party. Like you're like, oh man, this is happening to me, this and that, and it's just like, no, you control your life, dude. Like you have power to fix this. Just most people aren't aware of it. So
Like we said with the snowball, like I feel like definitely some things are not in your control, but then how you react to it
is in your control.
Is 100% in your control.
So instead of reacting, it's more of responding. Kind of think about a thermometer. It goes up and down depending on its outside circumstances because it doesn't control the outside. But if you were a thermostat, you get to control what happens. So you get to choose when you go up, when you go down. And most people are thermometers. They just react to what's going on in the outside rather than responding to what's going on the outside.
I like that a lot. That was a cool analogy. Like what personality traits do you believe that made you unique and give you like special opportunities?
Ooh. Well, the craziest thing is I used to be a very shy kid.
Really?
Yeah, I would eat lunch by myself in middle school or in high school. More in high school because I don't know, I felt like an outcast. So I was very shy.
I feel like high school is like that. High school is just a rough time for everyone.
Yeah,
and then life really starts when you get out and you can be your own person and you can do your own things.
Yeah, so like I said, I used to just be very shy, but a lot of people say that I'm an outgoing person. I'm very positive. Like I said, I've made a 360-degree change. So it's kind of hard to see those traits that people see in me now because they're new to me. Because I kind of... I recognize myself as someone that I used to be, not who I am today. Does that make sense? So I'm getting over who I used to be and realizing who I am today. And it's a completely different person. So I'm stepping into new traits, new personality things that I used to not ever have. So
I think it's crucial to be able to look back on those and realize like when you were the toxic person. Because I don't think people talk about that enough. Like everyone will always, I think we've all done it. Like victims say of like, this person did me wrong. This person and we don't realize that sometimes we're the toxic person.
Yes, and that's the thing is I was a toxic person at one point in my life, and I mean, thank the Lord above that I have such good friends because I had one friend just tell me straight up how it was. He was like, "Dude, listen, you're not being a good friend. You're in a very dark mind space. Like I want to help you, I want to be there for you, but I can't if you're not willing to help yourself." And that kind of flipped my switch. I was like, "Dang, like." I'm being a bad friend. Like, why would I don't want to ever be a bad friend. Why would I want someone to be a bad friend to me? So why would I be a bad friend to someone? So, I mean,
that's cool enough that he feels comfortable around you to be able to say that. Cause I don't know if I could do that right now with some of your friends. And then for you to take it and get it as a positive, cause you could just,
I could have
screw that dude.
I could have been like, wow, screw that kid. But I've been really good friends with him for a very long time. So I took it as constructive criticism. I take anything that someone says to me as constructive criticism. It's something I need to work on. So I'll be like, yeah, you know what? You see the things I don't see. So if you're able to help me identify that and tell me, it might hurt. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It hurts like hearing my buddy tell me that. But at the same time, it was life-changing because without it, like I said, I don't think I'd be where I am.
Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give your younger self now? Like I know you're 23, right? Yeah. Super young, but still, like if you could go back to like 15, 16, what type of advice would you give yourself to?
What advice would I give myself? Wow, that's a really good one. I would say work on myself more. Really learn how you work, if that makes sense. Because we all get things thrown at us, but we all deal with them differently. So if you can learn how you deal with things and you can learn how you react to things, then I think that's life-changing because it starts with how you do things. And then once you learn how you do things, then you can learn how to do more things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because before, you're just kind of going through the motions of life. You're just letting life control you. You're getting affected by it. You're not really realizing what is happening. And so I think becoming the observer, I'm just a very observing person. I think it comes from my father, but just observe more, I would say. That would be the best advice. Observe and read between the lines of what is happening in your life.
I like that. What do you mean by observe more? Like,
So, observing means being more aware, not just going through the motions, really figuring out why things are happening, but not by questioning why, by figuring out what happened and what you can learn from that experience. Does that make sense?
yeah, because I think a lot when you're younger, like when I was younger, I feel like I was just going every day. Like, I never looked long term. I didn't have good grades growing up. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, no, I'm right
We're
there
all
with you.
winging it.
Yeah.
We're all just getting degrees, figuring it out, and winging it. But like, I don't know. I was in a dark spot through high school where I was like, oh, I don't really have friends. I don't really know what I'm doing. And then one time, like, I wasn't very good at basketball, but I was like a scrub on the basketball team. And we had this one coach who brought us in. We watched a lot of Eric Thomas videos. You know? Who Eric Thomas?
Yeah.
Eric
E.T., I
Thomas,
love him, dude. He also changed my life too. So
he's like the greatest hype man, I think.
Yeah.
So like
Oh, yeah.
he brought us into an office one day and we just my bad. But instead of basketball practice that day, because I think the gym was closed, we just watched ET videos the whole time.
There you
and
go.
I was just on hype juice the rest of the week, you know? And then like our coach showed us all this thing like wasting your life. And like I don't think I've ever sat down and played more than like 15 minutes of video games since that point in my life, just because he was like, because that was when like Clash of Clans was popping.
Yeah. Everyone
And we
was
were
playing
all
that.
popping on it. And then like since that day, I was like, am I really like, is this what gets my time? And I felt like in high school, and I don't know if it's an everyone thing, you go through like the fights with your parents. You're like, I thought my parents were crazy. My parents thought I was crazy. So I feel like you're trying to fight so many different things when you're younger. And instead of like honing in and like you just listen and like, I want to do this. I want to learn from these things. I want to grow from these types of things. And these are the certain types of people I want to be around. Because I think in high school, you sometimes get jaded about like the types of people you wanted to be around.
Yes.
Like you're always like, oh, I want to hang with the cool people. But and then you graduate and stuff, and then you're like, oh, this kid I never talked to in this, he's doing this super cool thing. And then you talk to him, and you're like, everyone's cool after high school.
I believe high school is just the next stepping stone. Like, I wish they would teach personal development in high school because there are a lot of mental issues when it comes to high school. I know my high school was the #1 in suicide rate for a while. Harriman High School. It was pretty crazy.
I feel like high school is like Hunger Games sometimes. And then you get out and then it's like, oh, we're all the same.
They just drop you. Yeah. It's like it's like you get dropped in the real world and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Like, where do I go from here? That's why most people will get 2 jobs, 3 jobs because they don't know what they're doing. So they're like, well, I know if I work, I can make money. And if I know if I can make money, I can start doing something.
Yeah.
So that's why I think where most people go when it comes straight out of high school is they just go straight into work and they don't have any time to think.
Yeah. High school is like the great equalizer. Once you graduate, like we all got the same, like it doesn't, because in high school, the kid's dad that was on the coach could get him through the team.
Yeah.
You could do all these things and like teachers could help you through. And there could be popular kids and there's unpopular kids, but life doesn't care if you're popular.
Yeah.
Like the unpopular people are the people making $120 a year, and the popular dudes are still reliving football days. So like
exactly.
you get I think life equalizes that, and so it's up to you to be that guy. And how do you help yourself reach all those different types of people? Because like it might be because before I met you, it would be pretty intimidating for me if our mutual friend hadn't been like, "Hey, reach out to Bailey," and he'd be interested. Like, I don't know, because like you're modeling.
I would have been the same way.
It's hard for me to be like, I should reach out to this guy and have him on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting over that initial fear. Honestly, the way I look at fear is it's just false evidence appearing real. It's an event, a circumstance, an emotion, or a feeling that hasn't even happened yet. Yet we're tricking ourselves into believing it's happening, and so we create it. Ask the question one more time.
So, like it's pretty intimidating to reach out to other types of people that maybe don't fit in like the modeling world, or even in like completely different from you, like
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Because it would be intimidating for other people to reach out to you, and you're so positive, and I think you would be willing to help anyone. That if someone
Yeah.
reached out to you and was like, "Hey, I just want to talk about positivity and stuff,"
I'd be like, yeah,
you'd be
let's
like,
do
"Yeah,
it.
let's do it. Let's meet up."
Yeah, but before I wasn't
But
like
it's
that.
hard to like see someone that's a model, or like
Mhm.
there's no leagues in life, but like I feel like people are at different stages and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's hard to reach out to people that you're like, "Oh, he's a model, and I'm just a student. Like, why would he
Mhm.
want to talk to me?" Like,
Mm.
how do you bridge that gap with just making everyone feel included?
I would say I practice it on a day-to-day basis. Whether it's the gas station clerk or a random stranger, I will compliment them. I do a random act of kindness every day is what I want to do. It's called an RAOK is the way I've abbreviated it. But it helps me become more outgoing and accepting people. So a lot of people, it's a very judgmental world that we live in, and I am doing my part to not judge anyone and where they're coming from. So I want to accept anyone and anything. So if they come to me with open arms, I'm going to come to them with open arms as well, if not ready for a bear hug. So I just accept anyone and I just practice it by asking people how their day's going. I'll just do little random things I'll compliment a stranger on their shoes or their shirt, and it gets my foot in the door, and it helps me overcome that feeling of reaching out to someone that I don't know and have the possibility of them rejecting me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do you handle those? Like, has it ever gone weird or?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Like some people would just be like, okay, that guy was a weirdo. Why did you just say that to me? And I'm just like, all right. But I'm chilling because I'm learning. So I'm learning how to do things. And if I fail, it's just my first attempt in learning. So I like to look at everything as a positive. So there are times where it's weird. Like there's people, I know there's a FedEx guy that came to my work once and I was like, yo, dude, you're doing an awesome job. Keep it up. And he was like, thanks, dude, and gave me a thumbs up and was just like, what? This kid's weird. But now every time I see him, he's like, dude, how's your day going? Like I broke the ice. So I just think by doing small things like that, you can really start reaching out to more people and having that less fear and more confidence and being able to reach out to those people.
I think that's cool. Yeah, I have the same at my night job. There's only me and this other dude that work the night job, and we are so tight with the cleaning people. They don't even speak English. It's just like sup every night, and then they always say bye and everything. So I think it's cool.
Yeah,
You can like we would never meet outside of work, and we would never probably. But I think being outgoing and being nice to people like can make a change in their life that helps
No,
them want to
absolutely.
make a change for other people.
Absolutely, because you never know what someone's going through. So, I mean, even if you were just to tell someone that I hope they have an awesome day and you don't even know them, they could be having the worst day of their life and you just changed it. I couldn't tell you how many times that I've been having a pretty terrible day and I just got off the phone with like my bank or something and they're like, you know what, I hope you have an amazing day, Bailey. And I'm like, wow. Thank you. Like,
they hit
and it
you
just
with that
sounds sincere.
reverse Uno, and
Yeah.
you are just
Yeah, but it just makes you feel good and you're like, wow, I really needed that. So you never know if someone needs something. I always just act off of inspiration. So if I feel like I need to do something, I'm going to do it. Like there was a girl, I was working an event on New Year's, which was pretty cool. I like to look
Was
at
it for modeling or your other job?
No, it was for my buddy's CBD company. He wanted me
Is
to.
it the
Nectar?
Nectar?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
I've
know
seen
Dale?
that. I don't know him. I've seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd be a cool dude to get on the podcast.
Yeah, he's super awesome. I actually met him through modeling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're super close. I think he's like 26 or something like that. But yeah, he just started that business. So he asked me to come hand out samples with him. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'd love to. And when I was there, I was just I felt drawn to this girl. I was like, hey, like, I just feel like I need to go tell her, like, yo, you got natural beauty. Don't let anyone like mess with that. Don't let any boy break your heart. And I wasn't even like trying to hit on her. That was the thing. It was just like something told me to go tell this girl, do not settle for anything less. Like you have something special. I want you to realize that. And I felt like I made her night and just by going off of inspiration, it's not like I was like, oh, I need to go tell this girl this. It was just like something came to me and I was like, you know what? I'm going to act on it. I'm going to go because you never know if this girl needed that. What if she was having a terrible night and I just made her night? Like, you have no idea. So I'm huge on just acting off of inspiration. Whatever comes to mind, I'll just do it.
So are you still close friends with that girl, or
No, I
keep
didn't
in
even know her.
contact?
I had no idea who she was.
You've never seen her.
Never
since
seen
that?
her. She was just in line, and I was just like chilling there, and I was like, I'm gonna go walk up to her. I just like had this thought to like just go tell her like what I was thinking. And she was like, wow, thank you so much. Like, and I was just like, yeah, you're welcome. Like, I know that was
You're like,
probably,
I'm gonna skedaddle.
yeah. And I was like, I know that was probably weird, but yeah, I just felt like telling you that.
So do you go to events like that often, like promotional events, or do you try and get involved outside?
Dude, any opportunity arises, I'll take on it. Just like this podcast.
That's why I was like, yeah, she's like, reach out to Bailey. And I was slid in the DMs. I was
like, I'll be
do
honest,
you
I
wanna
was nervous to come do it as well. Trust me. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'd be good enough to be on a podcast. But then again, I was like,
if you've heard the first one of this podcast, you can definitely tell anyone who's good enough to be on a podcast. That one was rough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like you're learning. So I was like, you know what? I can take this as a learning experience and see what this has to offer. So I was really excited at the same time, very nervous. But
yeah, I mean, like your first one's always your worst one. And like you can really only go up. That's what I was like, if I just get it started, eventually down the line, I could be Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly, dude. Joe's awesome. I love Joe.
I listen to his at first, but then I'm like, I can't go down that road because my grandma, my mom,
Yeah.
if I talk like that, I would begin the spoon.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, but I think people like podcasts. Like, I like his positivity. I like how he sets his podcast up for like just talking about events that happen to people and how they've overcome it. Because he's had a lot of cool people on his podcast.
Yeah, like Elon Musk and stuff.
Elon Musk. Like maybe one day we'll have Elon Musk. Is there anything else that you want to go over, or anything, stories that you have that you think are important for other people to know that like may help them in a tough time?
I mean, the biggest thing is realize that there is a positive in every negative. Just like a magnet. Look at a magnet. It has two sides. It has a positive and a negative. Yes, you can always use the negative if you want, but you have the choice to use the positive side as well. So I would say look at everything with a silver lining. Try to find the silver lining in everything. Even it might be hard when something does happen to you and you're like, wow, this is difficult. This is a little tricky. But taking a step back, becoming that observer, I guess you could say, and really trying to find that silver lining, because no matter how bad the situation may seem, there is a positive. Just like my uncle's death, it showed me that I needed to change and that I need to become someone to help others. Does that make sense?
For others, people to look up to.
Like it motivated me enough to get me to where I wanted to go. Yeah, it sucked, dude. Like it was a pretty crazy story. He pretty much came to say goodbye. I got kicked out. Yeah, like I got kicked out when I was 17 and I was living with a buddy, and I didn't talk to my parents for a while, like maybe a year and a half or two. And I got a call from a random number, and he's like, Bailey. And I was like, who's this? And he's like, it's your Uncle Tony. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I just started bawling because I haven't talked to anyone in my family for quite a while. And he's like, well, let's get some lunch. I'm in town, this and that. And his plan was to come back and we were going to actually become ski bums together.
Yeah.
And then he actually helped me reunite with my father. He was over at my dad's house and he's like, just come eat some pizza with us and talk a little bit. And I was like, I'll come eat some pizza. I don't want to talk though. And so
free food is.
Yeah. And so we were talking, and I eventually, like, that was the first time seeing my dad in about a year, but we all gave each other hugs, and he planned on coming back. And when he didn't, it was very hard. It was tough on me because I was alone in the world is what it felt like. And then for him to come back into my life just to leave was like, wow. And I had to pull the silver lining out of that.
The silver lining, I think, is just like you're closer with your parents now, right?
Absolutely.
And do you think that you would have been as close as you are now without that meaning?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that death isn't a bad thing. I think it's a celebration of life, and it brings people back together. Yeah, it was terrible in the circumstances that's what brought me and my father back together. But at the same time, I am so grateful that it did happen, because I don't know what I'd do without my dad.
Yeah. It's awesome. That's what my grandma always says. My grandma always says when she dies, just have sloppy joes and have a party at her funeral.
Yeah,
like,
dude, that's what I'm at. I'm like, dude, I want it to be a celebration. I want people to be like, yeah, it's gonna suck if I do die eventually, but at the same time, like, celebrate my life. Celebrate the times you had with me. Like, yeah, it's gonna suck. You can grieve a little bit if you want, but I'd much rather you celebrate. So
Yeah, just
make it
go
a giant
go
party.
off the good times, go off
Mhm.
everything. But I think that's thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome that you can be vulnerable like that. And I think that helps other people realize that
Yeah.
I think it's harder for sometimes guys and stuff. I'm very bad at showing my emotions. Like
You're learning. You're not very
we
bad.
are yeah, you're right. We're learning how to get better with it. Like I think all through high school I was really good at hiding those emotions
Yeah.
and just getting through it and just
We
being
all
like,
are.
it is what it is.
Mhm.
Happens to the best of us.
No, yeah. I mean,
But-
it's a constant learning curve is being able to express your emotions. Like, I mean, like I said, my parents were very unemotional, like not emotionally available for me. So I had to hide all my emotions. So I'm learning still how to express my emotions as well.
To your family or just in general?
Just in general, just like being vulnerable in general and being able to express what's going on in the inside. I think it's a constant learning experience and we're all learning together. So if we can just
So
be
how do you
patient.
express yourself? Like, do you talk with other people? Do you paint? Do you draw?
Yeah, I'll talk to some people, especially if it is going a little bit rougher than normal. I'll definitely get some things off my chest and try to help them, or they'll try to help me see like what I am not able to see. Another thing is I love to journal. I used to steer away from journaling just because it's like, why would I want to write about all the bad things that are
Yeah.
happening? But it's a way to get it out. It's a way of purging. So, but I also do, yeah, a lot of art. I love just being creative. Making anything I can make is really
It is
what
cool. It is cool
expresses
looking
me.
back on old journals and being like, I'm not even like that anymore.
Yeah, you're like,
It's-
whoa, what kind of
What-
version of me wrote this?
what was I going
Yeah, and you
through?
can't even think about it. You're like, wow, like it's crazy to see where you were.
I think that also helps going for the future because you're like, this time right now isn't that bad.
Yeah,
Like-
absolutely. So yeah, journaling, drawing, creating. I think creating anything is the key to success. Being able to just express through a creation because we all have ideas. And if we don't act on our ideas, like this podcast, you had this idea to do this podcast and look, you're acting on it.
Yeah.
You're creating, you're a constant creator. So I think if we can all just come together and create, life will be better.
I appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for coming today. I know
Yeah.
that it takes a lot to get people out of their daytime to come do it in the middle of the day, but I appreciate
Yeah.
you, man.
No, yeah, I appreciate you inviting me.